this is just like a little note. I don't even know if this is going to be like a whole run count. Just a note is that I was just talking to Ramba, and he and I are both very excited because last night my clinch partner, Naksu, who's like 14 or 15 years old, fought one of the best fighters in Thailand at below 105 pounds named Ek, who is a twin who comes out of the Bumdek Sian gym, which has a bunch of twins. And they have very, very strong femur fighters, like very good femur fighters. So, one, you're fighting against like a big gym, and then you're fighting against a big name from a big gym, and you're fighting against a very experienced femur fighter when you're basically like a power fighter. Like Naksu is a strong, stern fighter. And Naksu is my clinch partner, so I know him quite well. I know what he's been working on. I know what I've been working with him on, and all of these things. And when he went into this fight yesterday, we were all like very proud of him being able to go into such a like high pressure fight. But I don't think that any of us, even though we really love Naksu, I don't think that any of us were really like, he's definitely going to win this fight. And then he won that fight, and he really won it. Like, he did really great. I wasn't sure that he won it at the end of the fight, but when I saw the result, it made me think of Yodkun Pan. When he was giving his top 5, we asked for his top 5 of all time, and he said Samson. And the reason he gave is he's like, he forced the judges to respect his style, which I feel like is what Naksu did in that fight, which is you have this little femur fighter, which is how they like to give points. Everyone loves a femur fighter. And Ek is really good femur fighter. Like, he really knows how to control the narrative. And then you have Naksu, who basically, like, in that fight, forced the judges to respect his style. And I was like, that's totally what Yodkun Pan was talking about. And Kevin's like, that's a really good way to put it. I couldn't give all of that context to Ramba when I was talking to him earlier about this fight, but I was talking to him about how great it was that Naksu turned the way he did, and that he just kept going. And Ramba was actually at the stadium, which he doesn't always go for his fighters because he runs his gym, so like he can't leave every time his fighters fight. And he knows that he puts a lot of pressure on his fighters, so sometimes he doesn't go with them in their corner. But as someone who's in the gym clinching with Naksu, whenever Ramba is near him, he is way more painful on me than he is if Ramba is not looking. Like, I always know whether Ramba is looking or not based on how hard Naksu is going against me. And so I told Ramba when I heard that he was going to go, I was like, he's going to fight really well. He fights better when you're around. And he laughed, and he's like, that's because he's afraid of me. And Ramba actually really wanted me to go. And I can't, I'm training for a fight, but that would have been really cute to be able to go and cheer. I told him he actually doesn't need a big team of people. He just needs one schoolgirl who will scream. If you ever watch stadium fights or even festival fights, there's always one schoolgirl who's like, ah! Just like screaming her head off. Chomini was this every time I fought Loma, because they used to be a couple. It was amazing, but he didn't have that either. But Ramba was at the fight, so he knew what the odds were, and he was saying that the odds were against Naksu, even going into round 5, which is amazing. But I was watching on TV, and I saw Sor Samai, who's the promoter. He was watching from the VIP section, and he was just so happy the whole time watching. Like, he was really enjoying this fight. And promoters don't decide who the winner is, the judges do. But I could see how happy he was, and I was like, he is seeing something that I'm seeing, which is this, like, this is a very, very good fight, when everyone thought it was going to be kind of like a clear-cut blowout fight. Anyway, all of that is to talk about this note, this thought that I'm having. Just now I was writing to Kevin about talking to Ramba about this, and I was like, the thing is, Naksu, even though he really, like, he showed his work in that fight so well, like, you could see what he's been working on. I could see the elbows that he and I have been throwing at each other in our clinching together, and I could see how he's able to do what he's being told to do, even though that's not necessarily what he looks like when he's in the gym. And the thing is that, like, fights are peak experiences in some degree, which is that you train all the time, and given the amount of time you train versus the amount of time you actually spend in a fight ring, you spend a lot more time training. But fights are peak fight and it becomes this test on whether you're good or not. That's not the kind of peak experience fights are. Their peak experience is in that all the work you do, you earn the experience you have in the ring. And that includes losses. That includes, you know, the things that you don't do well or that you kind of like fold under the pressure, whatever the thing is. You earned that in your training too. And you get to keep all of the work that you do, even if you lose. Like, you still get better even if you lose. And I feel like all of the work that Naksu has put in, not just since his last fight to this one, but like his whole life as a Nakmoy, has kind of showed itself in this fight in a way that I find really meaningful. Because basically since my first fight, which one of the reasons I began fighting is that I realized that everything I was training and learning from Master K, I don't really know shit unless I can do it under pressure. That's how I felt. And so since the beginning, my aim has kind of been to bring the things that I learn into the ring with me. And man, is that hard. Like, that really, the problem is that you want to bring certain things and you don't actually get to choose what you bring. You will bring lots of things that you train into the ring with you, and they might not be the ones that you're trying to bring. And they'll be good and bad, but yeah, that's the aim. And so because that's something that's been very valuable to me, seeing that with Naksu and seeing how much he's earned that win, and the difficulty of that fight. Like, it was not a perfect fight. He just did really, really well, and he really, in Thai it's called kayan, which is like to have, it's kind of discipline, but it's also to be like self-motivated, to like really like stick to the plan. It's beautiful. It's really, really good. See this stupid orange cat crossing the street, and I'm just making sure that he's getting all the way across. Yeah, okay, so that was my thought. That's just my little like thought note, and I'm running home. So that's some stuff to think about, is earning your performances and being very proud of Naksu and being very happy to be able to talk about how great Naksu is with Ramba. And Ramba like dedicates a lot of himself to his entire gym, and he's been through a lot. He loses a lot of fighters. He takes on disadvantages all the time. Like, his fighters are smaller, his fighters are less experienced, his fighters don't get many advantages at all. Naksu got 1 pound advantage in this fight, and then Yodpet Egg ended up coming in a little bit under, so I think he ended up having like a 1.5 or 2 pound advantage on the scale going into this fight, which is honestly like the biggest advantage I've ever heard of one of Ramba's fighters having. He had a fighter who went to fight and his opponent came in under the agreed upon weight, and he made his fighter drop, which is kind of amazing. Yeah, so I love Ramba's gym. I love his fighters. I think it's really cool to be able to witness and experience and understand those things because of the time I've spent here exposing myself and immersing myself and being able to understand those contexts, and I'm very, very happy to be able to share them too. So thank you guys for listening.